Imagine handing someone a badge, a gun, and, the absolute authority to make life or death decisions. How do you know on day one if they're going to be a level-headed hero or a dangerous liability? Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm going to be the student today, and you'll be the lecturer guiding us through all the psychological tripwires agencies use to figure this out.
Yeah, I'm really glad to step into the lecturer role for this one. So the foundation for our deep dive actually comes from section 11.9 of chapter 11 from Psychology 2E.
Right.
And the real puzzle we're looking at is, well, how do you get past a candidate's interview facade when the stakes are just so incredibly high?
Okay, let's unpack this because, how do agencies actually know if a quiet, methodical person or, like, a loud, impulsive person makes a better cop?
Well, they usually start by just throwing hundreds of true or false questions at them. Section 11.9 highlights this test called the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, or the MMPI.
The MMPI, okay.
Yeah, and it's basically the gold standard for law enforcement screening because it's cheap to administer and, generates objective data.
But wait, think about the last time you, or really anyone listening, took a personality survey for a job. You probably just checked that strongly agree on being a flawless team player, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So if I desperately want a badge, couldn't I just lie on a scale of 1 to 5 to make myself look perfect?
Well, what's fascinating here is the MMPI actually counts for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't just ask if you're a good person. It uses this built-in lie scale that basically mathematically traps liars.
Wait, really? A built-in trap?
Yeah, it buries subtle variations of a statement like, I have never told a lie among over 500 questions just to catch inconsistencies.
Oh, wow.
Right, so if a candidate consistently answers no to every single mild universal human flaw, they get flagged for faking good.
Ah, so it's not looking for angels, it's looking for statistical contradictions.
Exactly. And it also tracks psychological shifts over time using reliability scales. The textbook actually details a study tracking newly recruited police officers.
Okay, what did they find?
Well, when they were tested again after just 2 to 4 years on the job, those officers showed a marked increase in vulnerability to alcoholism, anxiety, and somatic symptoms.
Somatic symptoms, like physical issues.
Yeah, physical issues caused by psychological stress, like unexplained stomach aches or tension headaches.
Man, that makes sense for tracking stress. But if I'm a highly motivated candidate, I feel like I could probably still figure out the pattern to beat those multiple choice lie scales.
Some definitely try.
Right, so if the choices are too easy to game, wouldn't you just have to strip away the choices entirely? Just like give them a blank slate?
Which brings us to Freud's theory of projection. Enter projective tests. Instead of bubbling in A or B, the candidate is shown an ambiguous image and just asked to interpret it.
Oh, like the ink blots.
Yes, the Rorschach ink blot test is the classic example. But there's also the TAT, the thematic apperception test.
And what's that one?
That's where you tell a story about a vague picture. Or there's the RISB, where you complete sentences like, I regret, and then you just fill in the rest.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. It's almost like finding shapes in the clouds.
Exactly.
It's like an emotional Trojan horse. The candidate thinks they are just telling a creative story about a picture, but they're actually smuggling their own hidden anxieties past their conscious filter.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
But wait, isn't judging someone's cloud story incredibly subjective? I mean, if I say an ink blot looks like a puppy, and you say it looks like a monster, who's right?
You've hit the nail on the head. It is highly subjective.
Yeah.
While the Rorschach can hold up if the evaluator uses a very rigid standard scoring system,
Right.
tests like the TAT often have such low validity and reliability that their results are actually frequently thrown out in court cases.
Wow.
Mm.
Which really exposes a fundamental structural flaw. If we're relying on someone's subjective story about a vague picture, we're essentially measuring their personality against a very specific cultural yardstick.
Exactly.
Like, if the images only show one type of demographic, the whole test is broken for anyone outside of it.
And that was a massive blind spot for decades. Section 11.9 reveals that the TAC was originally developed using imagery reflective of a mid-century European-American culture.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. When it was administered to African-American test takers, the results showed very low cultural identification. It led to short, gun-revealing stories. They literally couldn't see themselves in the prompts.
So what does this all mean? The tests were essentially just speaking the wrong language.
Precisely. So the solution was swapping the imagery to match the lived experience of the test taker. Psychologists eventually developed culturally specific tools like the CTCB for African Americans.
Okay.
So instead of rural white families from the 1930s, it uses urban settings in culturally familiar scenarios.
That makes so much more sense.
And there's also the TMIS, designed for Hispanic and minority youths, which incorporates culturally relevant symbols and storytelling cues.
And did it work?
It did. Once the prompts actually spoke their language, test engagement and accuracy dramatically improved.
That is just fascinating. You know, whether you are filling out a corporate survey on a Tuesday morning or looking at a psychological ink blot, personality assessment is just this constant friction between objective data and subjective human experience.
It really is. And since these assessments drive life-altering decisions, from hiring armed officers to settling custody battles, it leaves us with something critical to consider.
Yeah, I want you to think about all those multiple choice questions you've breezed through in your life. Since these tests are used for such high-stakes decisions, how much of your own deep-seated personality could easily bypass a multiple choice test, just waiting for the right ambiguous picture to draw it out?